Welcome back to the sweatshop. In today's video, we're going to be working on this 2012 Subaru Impreza. What we're going to be doing in today's video is changing out the rear strut assemblies. As you can see, I have two wonderful quick struts on my table. Of course, that's what we're going to be swapping out. If you are going to be doing this at home, there are a few things you need to know before you tackle the job. I definitely recommend getting a quick strut if you're going to be replacing this sort of stuff as a DIYer. The reason being is because separating your spring and shock assembly can be quite detrimental to one's health. It is a very dangerous job if you haven't done it before, and you need to know the right way to do it, because if you separate your top hat and your spring is not compressed properly all the way, it could mean the difference between you being here today and being gone tomorrow. So don't make that mistake. Definitely get yourself a quick strut assembly, and if you don't die from the injuries that you sustain, you will usually have some severe injuries. Nonetheless, it's not impossible to do. Just make sure you do it properly, as well as have the correct tools to do it. If you are going to buy yourself a set of these guys here, do not get any cheap Chinesium stuff. Make sure you get it from a proper tool manufacturer, because these things do break, and when they break, the consequences are horrendous. You don't want to be on the receiving end of a spring exploding in your face. Nonetheless, with all of that out of the way, it is also very important that you realize there are many different manufacturers of quick struts, and I definitely recommend getting something of quality. Now, I can't say for certain that there are other manufacturers that are better than others. I generally have good success with Monroe as well as KYB, but you're gonna find people in either camp that don't like the opposite side. It is FCS shocks. These were purchased off Rock Auto by the customer, and hopefully we don't have any issues with them. They look to be decent quality, so yeah, hope for the best. If you are looking for the absolute best quality in terms of ride and longevity, generally it's going to be the dealership. Now, to my knowledge, I don't think the dealership sells a complete strut assembly. I think it's all in pieces, which of course will be quite expensive. Of course, the two most common things that fail are usually either the spring because of rust, or a section of it breaking off because of rust, or a shock, which is the most common thing because there's dirt and debris that gets in because these guys fail. Nonetheless, it is the quickest and easiest option. It also saves you on labor by just replacing a strut assembly as opposed to individual components. Hopefully that all makes sense. Of course, if it doesn't, feel free to leave a comment below. That being said, this is not the hardest of jobs, provided rust tight doesn't come to rear its ugly head in our faces with the bolts on the bottom side of the shock. Of course, if you are going to crawl around under your car, jack stands are a must. No one wants to die saving money. That is stupid. Of course, before we get started with today's video, do me a big favor, hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you never miss one of my new videos. Now, first things first, before we put it up in the air, we're going to go ahead, clear all the crap out of the trunk. Luckily, I've already done that. And then we're going to pop off those little plastic pieces and go ahead and remove the top hat bolts for the shock. Now, once all the contents of the trunk is gone, we're going to go ahead, grab this guy, just fold it up out of the way, move it on out of the way so that you have access to these little plastic panels. You're going to move these little styrofoam guys as well. There are our plastic panels. Simple enough to just yank up on them. They should come loose, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe we got to take these back ones out, I can't remember. Yeah, let's move these back ones first. Yeah, we got to remove these back ones. There we go, that's one side there, and you can see that our shock, probably a terrible shot. Anyhow, you can see that our shock tower bolts are now exposed there. I'm gonna get you a better shot on the other side. Okay, so we're gonna pop up this guy here in the back. And once you get that guy out, you can pull up on this guy here, nice and easily. And there we go. There's our shock bolts. Really simple as compared to some of the older generations, which I really appreciate. Thank you so much, Subaru. Go ahead, grab a 14 mil and fire these guys off. Go ahead, if you have the stock lug, get a 19 mil and fire the wheels off. You can do this job without taking the wheels off. It's just more of a pain in the ass, and I'm swapping these guys out, so yeah. See what happens when you use anti-seize? Now, there are a couple of ways to do this that I usually do. If you don't take the wheel off, you don't necessarily have to separate this bolt. Generally, this bolt has never given me issues. However, this guy here can set in with a bit of rust. Subaru is one of the better companies for that sort of stuff. They actually do a really good job in how they design this section. There really usually is no rust on these bolts. Can happen though, usually if it's touched. Of course, I'll be showing you how to avoid that catastrophe. This guy here is your stabilizer link. You don't need to touch it. She's fine the way she is. Leave it alone. This guy here is your toe adjustment for the rear. You do not want to touch that guy. There is usually rust there, and it's a pain in the ass to deal with. Leave it alone. Do not touch it. You can let the alignment guy deal with that. Now, if I don't have our wonderful wheel off of the car, what I usually do is I get a scissors jack. I'll take this bolt out and I'll push down with a scissors jack and a piece of wood up inside of the wheel well. You really only need like an inch, and then you can slide this guy out. I've done it, I don't know, multiple times. It's not hard, but it is a little bit more dangerous and not the recommended way. The way that you do it when you have the wheel off is pull this bolt off. Pull that bolt off on both sides. You can do it if you're just replacing the one on the one side, just makes it a little bit harder. The tricky part with these bolts is they like to rot. They're no longer a 17. It will come off with a 17, but in order to get your 17 mil on, you'll need to hammer it or get a 12-point wrench and wiggle it on. Of course, you're going to need the wrench regardless, so make sure you have one on hand and then begin the wiggle process. Get that guy buried in as much as possible. You can see all the rust in there. So much fun. Of course, if yours are rotted much more than this, I suggest replacing those wonderful bolts. Anyhow, do the wiggle wiggle. Get it as far down as possible. You can see all that wonderful rust inside the wrench. Now, on the other side, luckily it's not that bad. They usually just slide over. Of course, I spoke too soon. Yeah, I spoke too soon. This one's a little bit more rotted than the other side was. Anyhow. Blips just to make sure it seats all the way, and then fire. Now it's easier to do the shock outside first. Now this guy will not come out without you using a pry bar. So you get the pry bar in here like so and just pry away from the car just a bit. You'll see the bolt rock away from the car, and when it does, that's when you want to pull your bolt out. Just tap it a little bit. You can use your pry bar to help you, no biggie. Okay. There is a difference between the two bolts. I think the length is the same. Anyhow, don't mix them up. Now let's work on this other bolt. Oh my God, this side is a little bit more rotten. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now, luckily, you can see this guy here, nice and rust-free. Nut still usable, and the bolt is perfect. All we need to do, because we have everything apart, is hold our shock. Make sure you get a good grip on it, because if you don't, it'll bash you in the skull. And it's not cool, man. No one wants a concussion. You know what I mean? Just pull this guy down. Oh, it's being a little stubborn, so we'll get our pry bar and help work that guy out. Stick it in from this side here. Makes your life so much easier. And then, once you get it loose, all right, you're gonna do is stick your pry bar in between the stabilizer link and the control arm and just pull it down enough so you can pull that wonderful contraption out. Now there is no left and right, so this guy should fit perfectly in there. Oh, be a dick. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Now, you're gonna have to get a jack or a stand in order to help you get your suspension back into place. So either way, you need something to push up on this wonderful contraption. Now just do it right under the shock. That way, if you need to sneak your pry bar in, you can. Okay. Now we're relatively close there, so what you're going to do is take all of your bolts. You're going to douse the shaft of the bolt as well as the threaded portion with anti-seize. A nice healthy dose so that that thing never rots. I shall be back. After you've anti-seized your bolts, you're going to go ahead, get a flat screwdriver like this, and you're going to try your best to put your bolt in from the opposite side and wiggle the shaft into position. Okay, just like so. That's all we need to do for now. What we're gonna do is go ahead and do the other side, and then we'll come back and finish off this side. Now we're looking at the shock and the spindle here, and then behind the shock will be our stabilizer link, trying to get you a shot of the pry bar action. It is a bit harder for me to do because, well, the camera's in the way. Ow, that fucking hurts. Yeah, baby. Okay, now get that guy under the stabilizer link and pry her the fuck out, baby. Yeah! Woo yeah, brother! Okay, now send that baby back or send it to its new home. And yeah, brother. There we go. Line up the bolt holes for the top. It's a bit harder to do. There we go. And there we go. Alright, now this may be a little bit tricky because most of you probably won't have a second jack. You can use the other one, but I'm going to leave my stand there and use another stand to get this guy situated properly. Okay, send this guy up. Gently, should be close enough to underneath the shock is the best place. Come on, baby. Don't fuck around, bro. Yeah, it's gone. Just taking its sweet ass time. Oh, what's your deal, guy? It's probably a little cocked, unfortunately, but that's just the way she goes. Okay, we're missing the hole there. Let's get my screwdriver. Flat screwdriver is a must. Piece of shit compressor's on again. If you can't get it with a screwdriver, get an awl. In case you're wondering, this is an awl. We're just gonna tap it. Do a little tap tap. Some centering up. There we go. There we go. Okay, now I've got it in there just a bit, and what I'm gonna do is take my mallet, try to line it up a bit, and give it some love taps. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Bango bingo, baby. All right, both bolts are in. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on getting that guy back together. This here is a spherical joint and it has a rubber boot that protects it, so you want to make sure that you check it for play. This one's currently good. So is the other side. You also want to make sure that this guy here does not get caught up or twisted while going in. So you got to be very careful and observant of that. Instead of blabbing like that, I should just show you exactly what I mean. Hopefully you can understand that. If you can't, well, I can't explain it. All right, just send it up. Get this guy to cooperate. Oh, these shocks are nice and freaking, you know, tight, brother. They're very tight, so it's going to be a little bit hard to get this guy to settle in here. Oh, we have lift. Yeah, we're still on there, but it's not as pretty as I would like. Anyhow, get your pry bar. My stand's in the way, damn it. Get that guy to cooperate right there. We've got to go up quite a bit more. All right, well, we're almost there. Should be good to go with that. Let's get our bolt. Remember, anti-seize, key to success, baby. Oh, I can't get it like that. All right, yeah. All right, there we go. Now with this guy, when we go to tighten it up, we can tighten it. Oh, get my bolt. There we go. We can tighten it without having to level out the suspension or compress it. But with this guy here, we're going to have to basically compress the suspension before we tighten it up. That way the bushing does not go ahead and, you know, screw us by being torn up because we didn't do it properly. I'll just wiggle this guy back into place. There we go. Now the other stand, because of the stabilizer bar, will take up quite a bit of our wonderful tension provided by our brand new spring. Nonetheless, we're going to compress it just a bit. Don't forget the seal, and now should be able to pull it down just enough. If we can't, we can stick a pry bar up top. It's just a little bit of an awkward position to get up top because we're way high up. There we go. Yeah, so I should have had my little flat screwdriver. All right, just pull down on it. Oh, come on, don't be a dick. There we go. Okay, there we go. Let's get our wonderful bolt and shove this in the hole. Oh, don't twist on me. There we go. Let's give it some love taps. This guy's too high. Oh, too high like that. Now there we go. All we got to do is verify that our wonderful bolts or studs for the top hats are protruding through our body, and if they are, we'll go ahead and finish up. If we need to adjust, we will do that, and I'll show you just how to do it, but you got to be extra careful when doing it. Once you've got all your bolts in for your bottom pieces of suspension, you're going to go ahead, remove both stands, and lower the car. Now for these bolts here, if they're not protruding, the only real way to try and get them in is by letting all the tension off, but it's always best to make sure the bolts are in the hole prior to. However, they can slip out, which would be a real pain in the ass. There is a collar around the mount on the other side that you can use to basically pry against the mount very gently and push it into place. On the front side here, as well as the back, I'm pretty sure it is a little lip on the body that you can use to pry up against, and then your bolts should fall into place. Now, if you've separated your shock and you have not aligned it properly, unfortunately, you're gonna have to take it all back out, align it properly, and then shove it back in. As for the hardware, most shocks will come with new hardware. I recommend using the original hardware. It's just better. Take your 14 mil, run them down, then get your torque wrench. Set your torque wrench to 22 foot-pounds or 30 Newton meters. We're all done up here, so let's go ahead and put our wonderful plastics back into place. There is a certain method. Make sure all your clips are in place and they're not busted. And slide them back home, baby. Okay. Oh, was that, did I miss something? No, okay. I think I missed something here. I can't see it. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So this guy's supposed to come out too. That's why I was having a bit of a hard time pulling it out. Okay, that's fine. We can slide that guy in. I'll have to show him that now. Okay, so go ahead, slap this guy in. Alright. Now, there is a little tab here, basically. This guy, this centerpiece, should have come out. I'm not going to pull it off. There is enough leeway here for me to push this guy back into the car just to slide this portion underneath it. I didn't catch that when I was pulling it out, but yeah, kind of stupid there. Should have just fucking, you know, should have deleted that from the factory, but whatever. So there you go. You don't necessarily have to take this piece out, but you will have to do some moving around in order to get this guy to sit properly. Now, put these guys back on. There should be a clip that holds this guy, but I looked around to see, and I don't see them in the trunk area here. So looks like they're long gone. Nonetheless, don't forget to put those guys back. Yeah, for some reason, all the clips are missing or broken. This one here is busted, but at least it's still there, you know. Well, anyhow, usually there's one or two clips. This one's got one here, and looks like there was one up there, but whatever, doesn't really matter. not a big deal. Now, let's shove this guy back in. All right, things are looking well good for us right now. All we got to do is close this trunk, send this thing back up in the air, and fasten all those bolts. Yeah, baby! Okay, go ahead, thread your nuts up by hand. They are both the same on either side, so don't stress. What you're gonna do is get your wonderful 17 mil wrench, put it on, and fire that guy home. But you wanna make sure it's loose. You do not wanna tighten this guy. This guy here, you can snug up. Gonna go do the same on the other side. Now the torque is the same for both bolts, but we'll be torquing this guy on the floor. Go ahead, set your torque wrench to 59 foot-pounds or 80 Newton meters. That's it, we are good to go. Now, go ahead, put your wheels on, and then we'll torque those guys on the floor. Always thread your bolts up by hand. Force this guy onto the hub. Now, a couple of things here. Basically, I'm way too fat to get underneath this car at ride height. So, I usually have scrap laying around. I've got a scrap set of steel rims that are nice and wide, 17 by 7, and I've placed them underneath my wheels. So my suspension is nice and compressed. Of course, I still have the support of the hoist, so if for whatever reason it's gonna roll, my hoist is gonna catch the car. Don't be stupid. Make sure you do this safely. Get stands, get wheel supports, whatever you need to do. Obviously, if you're slimmer than I am, it's more easier to get underneath the car. Plus, you don't have to record it. It's not a problem. You can get underneath it with an extension. Okay, that being said, once you have all the weight off of your car, you're going to get into this position here, and you're going to force the car up and down a few times, making sure that the suspension settles. Once it is settled, you can go ahead, set your torque wrench to 59 foot-pounds or 80 Newton meters. Now go ahead, get your wonderful wrench situated on the bolt. You can see here, it's nice and loose. Now what you're gonna do, get your torque wrench ready and start to torquing. All right, that's one side done. Let's go ahead now and do the other side. You know what? I'm not gonna film that because this is pointless. You get how to do it, and yeah, wonderfully, baby. That is it. That is how you do shocks. We're good to go now. We can jack this thing up, get our stupid rims out of the way, and yeah, wonderfully. Go ahead, grab your torque wrench, set it to 90 foot-pounds or 120 Newton meters. Well, that's pretty much all she wrote for this one. All that's left to do is to figure out whether you need an alignment or not. And generally, the safe bet is that you do need an alignment. The reason being is whenever you touch suspension or alter the suspension height, you're going to change the toe, caster, and camber. They'll all be slightly off. So it is best to go ahead and get a professional alignment done because your tires will, of course, last you longer. You'll also get better fuel economy as well. Monitor the way your tires wear, make sure that you're not in any trouble or are going to have any issues that tissues just won't solve, and you should be good to go after your alignment. With all that out of the way, hopefully you found the video entertaining as well as informative. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss one of my new videos, and as always, thanks for watching. We will see you in the next one. These guys here are FCF, or yeah, FCF. No, that's wrong, Jimmy. I just read it and I fucked it up on camera. Goddamn fucking compressor. Before we get started with today's video and put this wonderful hunk of junk up in the air, I can't say that. Felicia's not gonna like that. One of the reasons I still love Subarus, fuck that compressor, man. Literally, every fucking like 5 to 7 minutes, this piece of shit. That fucking compressor's on again, and I literally just heard it come off like 4 minutes ago. Fucking pile of junk. Oh, wrong way, Jimmy. Oh, you prick. How about that? Well, you can see how many times that fucking compressor's run, and we're not even, you know, pausing. Working, wrenching. Oh my god, man, that fucking compressor is the most annoying thing ever. You fucker. making sure that this, you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna do this. And that fucking piece of shit compressor is running too. God damn it. Now we know we're 100% torquey, baby. Go ahead, grab your torque wrench, set it to 90 foot-pounds. Or, yeah, 190 foot-pounds, isn't it? Yeah, fuck. That being said, hopefully you found the video. I think I said that already. Fuck.